So previously I've gone digging through the archives of our Kiwi childhood. I found some pretty raunchy stuff. And today, I'm opening up another chapter of New Zealand's forgotten past. A place where the logos have faded, the jingles are long gone, and the memories live on, but only on old VHS commercials. But these were the moments, man. Some were beloved, some were bizarre, and some disappeared so fast you swear that you dreamt them up. So brace yourselves, because I'm about to resurrect another piece of New Zealand nostalgia. So let's get into it, eh?
Big on a taste.
Ain't famous for its Grand Prix.
So, before health and safety forms were thicker than the old Sunday Dawn Post, and before reality TV chefs were calling it how it is,
An idiot sandwich.
New Zealand had Top Town, a travelling circus of soap, water, questionable balance beams, and even more questionable fashion choices. Top Town launched in 1976, back when TVNZ's best idea for a summer show was basically,
what if we get towns to compete, but then make them fight to the death?
well, as you can guess, that first suggestion didn't go so well. So they agreed on the towns competing, but they swapped the shotguns for water pistols instead. Each episode featured two towns battling it out in challenges that looked like they were invented by a PE teacher on nose bears and someone who really wanted to see their neighbours fight it out above a pool. It ran for over a decade, right through the 70s and the 80s, and it became a seasonal TV ritual, because when Top Town rolled into your neck of the woods, it wasn't just filming for the day, it was a civic holiday. People showed up in matching shirts, screaming like they were at the World Cup final, only to watch their Uncle Steve faceplant off a rotating foam pedal.
But why did Kiwis love us so much?
Well, it was kind of like regional pride on steroids. Top Town transformed small town competition into peak television drama, because this was the golden age of TV that you watched with your whole family. Kids laughed at all the knocks, parents yelled advice at the screen, and your nana judged everyone by their colour.
Was Top Town really that dangerous?
Well, competitors slipped, crashed, collided, face-planted, and went flying off obstacles. There were no padded helmets, no airbags. If you got hurt, you shook it off and grabbed an orange slice because your entire town was watching. And let's be honest, that danger was all part of the charm, because Top Town walked so Wipeout could run, and so ACC could become New Zealand's top provider.
But why did it end if it was so great?
Well, by the 1990s, several things caught up with the show. Production costs for one, and then there were the changing tastes. By the 90s, viewers wanted shows with bigger prizes, more muscles, and more sex appeal. And health and safety was a rude awakening. So Top Town went on hiatus, and for a pretty long while. And it seemed like the madness was gone forever. Until... in 2009, Top Town returned. Well, sort of. But this time, thanks to strict safety rules, it was almost entirely water-based. So instead of mud and chaos, it became gay, happy and fun, more splashy and less smashy.
Was it nostalgic?
Not really. So, Top Town didn't just entertain us. It defined an era. It brought communities together, it showed off local pride, and now it just lives rent-free in our memories, because nothing on TV feels quite the same. Man, this one makes me sad, but it has to be done. Because there are just some places in New Zealand history that can only be described with the phrase,
You just had to be there.
and high on that imaginary list that I just made up then, nestled somewhere between the Wellington Fairgrounds and those weed carpeted movie theatres, sits the legendary, the uncomparable, the absolutely lawless Pizza Hut All-You-Can-Eat. Zaha was a coming-of-age ritual disguised as a buffet. Walking into a dine-in Pizza Hut in the 90s felt like entering a parallel universe where the lighting was dim, the carpet was funky, and the air smelt like secondhand smoke mixed in with deep dish. Honestly, it looked like the set of a Martin Scorsese flick, and this is where we thrived. Pizza Hut Dine-In was the birthday party capital, especially for teenagers with expanding appetites and dangerously empty pockets. And for one glorious price, you got unlimited pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert. Though, let's be completely honest with ourselves here. It was more pizza and dessert than it was salad and pasta. Oh, man. And what a dessert bar it was. That dessert bars did things to me. It's the reason why I believe that Hansel and Gretel was based on a true story. I personally ran a full freight train on that hot fudge sundae station. Sprinkles, marshmallows, chocolate sauce. This chubby little boy wants it all. It's the only place where society actually allowed, even encouraged you to behave like a sugar-crazed feral. And of course, the sacred tradition included smuggling half a pizza in your jacket pockets, wrapped up in napkins, still warm, smelling like cheap deep dish and teen sweat, but you felt like a champion, a hunter-gatherer, a provider. And despite the questionable hygiene and the flickering lighting, we loved it, every single minute of it. But like everything I loved once, this left me as well, and sometime in the early 2000s, signs of its decline were pretty evident. Dropping sales, higher rent and wages meant franchises weren't making the bang for buck that they once did in the early 90s, and one by one, stores moved away from buffet-style restaurants to soulless takeaway husks, driven by money-hungry sluts. And not so quietly, I want it back. Not just the pizza, the era, man.
The vibe.
The chaos, the unspoken brotherhood formed around a dessert bar. Pizza Hut Dine-In wasn't just a restaurant, it was a holy place, a beautifully greasy piece of New Zealand history worth remembering. Before online shopping, before iPads, before kids judged each other by who had the newest iPhone, there existed a sacred place, a magical place, a place so powerful, so overwhelmingly awesome that entering it could even make the toughest Kiwi go weak at the knees. A place simply known as the Toy Warehouse. And if you grew up in New Zealand in the 80s or the 90s, this wasn't just a store, this was Willy Wonka's factory. Now, for my younger viewers, the name wasn't just a metaphor, it wasn't ironic, it was literally a warehouse full of toys. And for this old narrator, this place wasn't just a shop. Oh no, my sweet naive viewer, this was my church. I remember it so vividly it's almost embarrassing. The mere thought of it gives me that fizzy, giddy, schoolgirl excitement. Schoolboy. I walk past a Bunnings today and I still feel the urge to sprint inside it just because somewhere inside my mind it associates the warehouse with childhood ecstasy and dopamine factory.
What did it have? Lego?
Yep,
Star Wars?
absolutely.
Hot Wheels?
Stacks.
G.I. Joes?
An army full.
Mighty Max?
The whole collection.
Puzzles?
Yes.
Playsets?
Yes.
Board games?
Yes.
Dolls?
Yes.
Noise-making devices designed to piss off your parents?
Yes. Everything. And your parents? Man, they were just trying to survive the shopping trip. And you? Well, you were one sensory overload event away from exploding with joy. And look, I'll be honest, nothing hits quite like the first time you hold a plastic dino and feel the raw, prehistoric power of consumerism power through your veins. Hell yeah, bro! This is also the place where your mum did the classic Kiwi ritual, the Christmas lay-by. She'd disappear behind the counter with a trolley full of dreams that you'd never see again. The Toy Warehouse wasn't just a store, it was the promise of Christmas, the smell of fresh plastic, and the soundtrack of squeaky wheels and kids losing their shit. A place where dreams happened, or not happened, or usually after 8 to 12 weeks of structured lay-by payments. See, the Toy Warehouse had a simple business model.
Give kids everything in one place, then get a big bag and watch the money roll in.
No fancy branding, no cartoon mascots, just endless aisles of toys stacked to the ceiling and a giant warehouse that looked like a cross between a supermarket and Santa's distribution centre. Parents loved it because it was cheap. Kids loved it because it was the closest thing to heaven. Retail workers probably needed post-traumatic stress therapy after a Boxing Day sale. But like many icons of my youth, the Toy Warehouse fell victim to things like global toy chains taking over, the early days of online shopping, capitalism doing capitalism things, and the harsh reality that toys and nothing but toys aren't really a scalable long-term business model. And the shelves started to empty, and one by one, the toy warehouse simply wasn't there anymore. So, if you grew up in New Zealand in the 90s or the early 2000s, you probably remember a moment, a very specific moment. A moment where every other radio station felt like it was made for someone else. Someone cooler. Someone who doesn't eat pocket pizza until they see the God of Za. And then there was Channel Z. Channel Z wasn't just a radio station. It was a beacon, a lighthouse for the rejects, the skateboarders, the emos, the alt rockers, the kids who dyed their hair with food colouring, and anyone who didn't want to listen to nothing but Metallica on the rock. And for me, and a whole generation, Channel Z was the teenage soundtrack to summer. It's where I first heard Incubus, Faith No More, and all those other Kiwi classics that probably wouldn't have survived on commercial radio otherwise. Channel Z was the station that proudly said,
Oi, this band is weird as hell. We like it. And you should too.
Launched back in 1996, Channel Z hit the airwaves with one mission: play the music that no one else would touch. Alternative, grunge, new metal, punk, indie. If it made parents uncomfortable, it was probably worth playing. And the compilation albums? Man, they were a work of art. Those things went straight into your mum's Iowa 3-disc CD changer and they never left. They became the soundtrack to barbecues, road trips, beach missions, awkward crushes, and the long walk home with your brother's Discman skipping every third step. But the real magic? No station has ever hit the same since, and it probably never will.
So what happened?
Well, corporate radio happened for one. Eventually, in 2003, it was rebranded into something more blander, smoother, and completely devoid of the chaos and personality that made Channel Z magic in the first place. So in other words, they took the weird, alternative, beautiful Frankenstein's monster of New Zealand's radio and replaced it with a beige throw pillow in a two-dad's bedroom. But what Channel Z left behind is bigger than its frequency. It shaped music tastes, it launched local artists, and it gave a home to everyone who didn't feel like they had one in the first place. And so here we are, at the end of another journey through the dusty aisles of forgotten franchises. Each of these places, each of these moments, they weren't just a business or a show or a radio station. They were stories, little snapshots of growing up in New Zealand. And even though they're gone, we're not. Revisiting them reminds us that nostalgia isn't about the past. It's about realising how far we've come. So thanks for coming along on this trip down memory lane with me. And if you enjoyed this journey, why don't you give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who grew up in the same golden era as us. So until next time, be kind, rewind, I'll see you in the next one.
Dick.